Yeah, I would have did the same thing. I ain't gonna lie.
You said the father's instinct kicked in.
Yeah, they definitely did. Like, if I had a little girl out here and somebody would have told my brother, like, a police officer at that, I probably would have tried to get back in and kill him.
Yeah.
So, I heard that a youngster was shot by law enforcement for allegedly having a pistol.
Okay.
That officer, you know, if he's that scared, he shouldn't be an officer. You know what I mean? Like, kid was no threat to him. He was looking behind, running for the cops, man.
So, like, the cop knew how to construct the law. He knew what he was doing. I felt like, you know, it's a profile thing and it's a racism type of thing.
The community is angry as well because we feel like our leaders who run this city, the police officers, they just lie to us and tell us anything. I sat there and watched that first press conference, and they couldn't even let the whole body cam footage show.
And as the scripture says, all things that are hidden shall be revealed, and those things done in secret shall be exposed on the mountaintop.
Let's go, Rich. Let's go. You watching Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. The propaganda grammar, don't believe none of it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing.
Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long. And they're fed up. They become disenchanted. They become disillusioned. They become dissatisfied. And all of this has built up frustrations in the black community that makes the black community throughout America today more explosive than all of the atomic bombs the Russians can ever invent.
Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing.
All right, peace and blessings, all praises to the Most High. What you're about to see and the people that you saw in the little clips are 4 residents of Cincinnati that I had to speak with concerning the Ryan Hinton and the Rodney Hinton Jr. case that happened in Cincinnati. If you're not familiar, Ryan Hinton was killed by Cincinnati police. Then the next day, his father, Rodney Hinton Jr., is alleged to have ran over a Cincinnati deputy. Now, he is currently in jail facing capital murder charges. And recently, the Cincinnati police announced that the officer will not be charged in Ryan's death. So these interviews are like a month ago before these decisions were made. But this is just going to give you a brief example of what people know about the situation and what they don't know about the situation. Now, this first young lady, you're going to hear her talk about, you know, how little she knows about the case, but her perception of what went on. Tashika, right? Tashina. Okay, now, so you said you heard about the incident, but you really don't know any details.
Yeah.
Only thing you know is what?
A father protecting himself, like.
So the police killed his son?
Yeah.
And then what the father do?
He retaliated. What do you mean? He feel like he had I don't know.
So look, so you say you did the same thing?
Yeah, I would have did the same thing. I ain't gonna lie.
You said the father's instinct kicked in.
Yeah, they definitely did. Like, if I had a little girl out here and somebody would have told my brother, like, a police officer at that, I probably would have tried to get back in and kill him.
Yeah, you from the Cincinnati?
I'm from Cincinnati.
So how's the police, like, what's your relationship with the police? Or what experience have you had or have you heard?
I done had plenty of run-ins. They done tried to charge me with felonious assault with a deadly weapon, and I tapped the back of a police car.
That was it?
Yeah.
And they tried to charge you with that? That's what you going to court today for it?
No, I'm doing my classes.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so there you see the young lady give her perspective, saying, hey, if something like that would have happened to my daughter, then I would have tried to get back at them. Now, also, she mentioned her own case in which she tapped the back of a police car, and they're trying to charge her with felonious assault. And you see she's evidently has some classes to take because of that. Now, this next gentleman, if you watch the ending of that clip, you'll see him come out of the woodworks. And he actually kind of startled me a little bit And you're going to see why when you listen to him and, look at his demeanor. Actually, I'm going to be honest, I thought he was an assassin sent to take me out while I was in Cincinnati, because he came up with such stealth like a ninja. And then if you look at his demeanor, then you'll see why I was kind of, leery of it. But, he gave his perspective, and, I found out a little bit more about him after the interview. But just listen to his perspective.
My name is Zack SWALLEN.
All right, so you from Cleveland?
Yeah, I'm from Cincinnati, but I've been staying up by Cleveland for the past 8-9 months.
But you stay here now?
Back and forth. I'll be having a house up there, and I'll be back here in the next month or two.
All right, so did you hear about the situation? What happened?
Yes, sir, I did.
What you hear happened?
So I heard that a youngster was shot by law enforcement for allegedly having a pistol.
Okay.
That officer, if he's that scared, he shouldn't be an officer. You know what I mean? Like, kid was no threat to him. He was looking behind, running for the cops, man.
So you saw the video?
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't have no gun. Kid was no threat to that officer. That was wrong.
Okay.
That was wrong. That was dealt with. Cool.
Okay.
And then the father saw, and I'm a father. He, like, man, my gosh, he was clouded with that anger, that flood, that lost his kids, saw what happened, and reacted out. Maybe, I don't know, caught in the moment. But I don't think he had premeditated intent to kill these gentlemen.
Yeah.
And so I believe that it would be a mental illness, like in that moment.
Okay.
Passion, you know what I mean? Like definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's your experience with police?
I mean, so coming up, man, like shit, they was pretty bad to me and shit. Coming up with my bros,
You been to prison before?
No, not been to prison, but I've been locked up and charged with like years ago. But, some shit, but then like I've always been like a protector of the least to be. Like I always bullies and always looked out.
Alright.
But obviously was always labeled the bad guy because of that, because the bullies was the rich jocks and shit, and their parents was boosters and it was in with the in crowd. So. And I'll be the bad guy to make sure the least of these protected, because that's what God Jesus blessed me with.
Hey man, that's what's up. That's what's up.
And you said one thing that's I think was very important. What you said, we all just need to come together.
Yeah, you know what? In the Holy let me read something to you real
scripture.
Quick.
Yes, sir.
It's a blessing that so the Holy Spirit communicated this to me. All right.
Yeah.
So the Holy Spirit has communicated a way to unite our nation by bringing us all together to ensure no child is left behind, forgotten, but they're safe, educated, loved, and empowered. The summary of the rough draft outline, okay? It's just the rough draft outline.
You wrote it yourself?
Yes, sir. What the Holy Spirit communicated this through me. You'll know what I'm saying. It's just a couple paragraphs. The Brothers and Sisters Keeper Initiative is what's going to be called, because we are brothers and sisters keepers, it's on us. It's designed to foster leadership and protection among youth, emphasizing mentorship, education, and community engagement, particularly for marginalized individuals. The initiative partners young leaders with vulnerable peers, K through 12, that we run through public education so all kids are reached, alongside with military veterans and first responders, to instill the values of leadership and support and aims for measurable outcomes in academics, crime reduction, decline in mental illnesses and drug addictions, and to secure funding and to sustain the initiative while also promoting participation. It'll be a government program mandating citizens to complete 8 to 10 hours of volunteer work each month in exchange for a universal basic income to supplement their already earnings, what they're already getting, because we're already moving towards a universal basic income because of all the automation. So now, and obviously not all individuals will want to work with kids or would even be able to work with kids, but they can go to a park and do something.
Yeah.
And all be ran through the apps, like the Fox, shit, all the apps that they got, and like we can make this happen.
Definitely.
And,
Is that it?
This plan not only provides financial support, but also fosters a sense of community involvement. Additionally, it aligns with the initiative's goals of unifying the country's diverse population under what's essentially a universal code of ethics that transcends religious barriers, aiming to protect and uplift the most vulnerable members of society. Through this collaborative effort, the initiative seeks to reinforce values of empathy, responsibility, and collective support within the community. Let's do this.
All right, so there you hear my brother Zack Swallen dropping some spiritual knowledge, some logical knowledge, but he said one thing towards the beginning of what he was saying was, if that cop is that scared, he shouldn't have been a law enforcement officer. Now, it's obvious that, my brother, he has some spiritual insight. Looks like, like I said, he probably been to prison. If you see him, like, he was cut up, like, and he walked with me down the street for a few blocks, and I have to judge him on what I see right here. I don't know the brother, but there is some articles about him. If you look up Zack swallowing, then you'll see him in the news talking about some things. So I really can't, his initiative sounded good, but of course everybody has to be in that same mindset. You know what I'm saying? So my brother, he gave me some some different perspective, I'll say, from from what we're gonna hear next. But once again, I was kind of leery of my brother, the way he just popped up on me without notice. Now, this next group of brothers, they were right in front of the courthouses, and one of them ran a hot dog stand right there. So he didn't want to be on camera speaking about it because, of course, if he has a hot dog stand in front of the courthouse while we were standing out there, all types of lawyers and, jailers and DAs were coming up to him, patronizing him. So, of course, he didn't want to jeopardize his business, which I understand that some more brothers were out there. And, they said they'll talk, but not on camera. So when you listen to this, you'll just hear the voices, but listen to, once again, the different perspectives of each individual out there. Okay, go ahead, my brother. Tell me about it.
Oh, if I'm on camera, I'm good. I'm
okay,
good, brother.
But I ain't gonna show you on camera. Y'all give me some street conversation, man. Yeah, camera down there. So
I've heard about it, but I ain't really looked into it. Right, I try to stay away from the news, to be totally honest, because I work right here. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot.
I see why every day. Yeah, I see why you won't want to speak on it on camera, because you know what I'm saying. You don't want to get put out your, this your spot. So it was.
I worked hard to get here.
So you said you told me what it was off gate. So I know before I turned the camera on, you was candid. I should have asked you first.
To me, I feel like it's to take away somebody's baby that means something to them. And no matter if you're a cop or not, no matter what the situation was with Ryan Hinton, I just felt like it was just bullshit. Felt like the cop knew how to construct the law. He knew what he was doing. I felt like, it's a profile thing and it's a racism type of thing. Cops shouldn't get away with this type of especially locking up a man that I felt like, even if he wasn't aware of anything when he was driving, I felt like it wasn't intentional towards that cop of what Rodney Hinton did.
Yeah.
I felt like maybe he had a couple drinks or so, and his car just spun out. He wasn't able to control it, and it was happened to be a deputy right there.
That's
I feel
a narrative
like,
too. That's what
I feel like
saying.
I feel like to me, I don't like the law, honestly.
I had my experience with
you know what I mean? I don't like the law, but I do want a fair justice in this, and I feel like.
Do you think he'll be able to get a fair trial?
I feel like he should get a bail.
Okay.
Because obviously the cop hasn't been arrested.
Yeah.
And I don't hear anything about the cop being arrested. What about the cop?
Yeah.
What about the other officers that was involved? How did this even occur? How would you not even know that was his gun? Ryan Hinton's. It's just the story's so lopsided. It's two different sides that don't even understand. Because you got the law, they don't understand, and then the people outside too is just only hearing the news when it comes on. And we just hearing those two sides. We don't even know what happened. Plus, the undercover
videos?
Yeah, the undercover cop. Yeah. It was.
So it was an undercover cop.
Yeah.
That's what people know around.
It was the undercover cop. The undercover cop. He didn't even give Ryan Hinton a chance to even heel down or something. You know what I mean? Like he just shot the man for no reason because he seen him running or something like that, or I don't know what it was.
I've analyzed the story. I went to the scene. the scene is so closed in that like only thing they said they was watching them for 2 or 3 hours, which means they was planning what they gonna do. Like there was nowhere for them kids.
So basically, they were planning to shoot him.
They laid in wait for him.
They were planning to shoot him.
They had officers positioned around in the back just in case they run. You know, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying. So, man, I appreciate it.
Us as Black African Americans, man, we have this culture where we need to be more together. And these deputies, man, they don't even want to do their job. That's why they kill people. You know what I mean? And I feel like, I don't know, man, whoever that undercover person was, I don't know if it was a deputy, sheriff, FBI,
police, they said
DIA agent, anything. I don't know what it was, but Ryan Hinton shouldn't have died, you know. And trying to blame Ryan Hinton for the follow-up of what happened to his son, I don't think Rodney Hinton, he didn't
intentionally.
Yeah, he didn't intentionally do anything or try to. The car just spun out. He couldn't control it. When you're drunk, you can't control anything like that. You don't have your right mind.
Yeah, he was out of his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they said he left the police station, went home, went, you know what I'm saying? You probably had him cut a few
yeah, if you went to especially by your son.
Yeah. So what's the overall relationship between, you know, like, I guess, police and the Black community in Cincinnati?
I feel like the cops are very rude, very judgmental. When they see us in groups talking, they nosy. They walk up on us, hey, how you guys doing? Blah blah blah. Sorry, I can't have you guys sitting right here because you know it's just a law.
It's always so.
You look suspicious standing right here. It's just suspicious activity. We don't know what goes on. You know, cops are weird, man. They make up anything just to arrest you. They make up lies on laws, and when you look it up, it's not even an actual charge. So, you know, cops are putting innocent people in there, and I feel like Rodney Hinton is innocent at this point. If they feel like the cop is innocent for what he did to his son, is highly hopped up and wrong. And the only person that's innocent out this case is Rodney Hinton. That's all.
All right, so there you have my brother. Once again, they was declining to be on camera because one, as you heard, he say he worked there. He don't want to jeopardize his business. And the other young man did so as well. But he made some very interesting points, definitely saying, you know, about the whole situation is messed up. That's not particular words he used. Nevertheless, he said, you know, Ryan Hinton, of course, shouldn't have died. They can't, you know, they're trying to create the narrative. Whoever the officer was, you know, from, you know, all intents and purposes, he was an undercover officer, has not been charged, of course, and, you know, they're trying to victimize or, you know, criminalize both Ryan and Rodney Hinton Jr. But as he said, the only person who is innocent is also Ryan and Rodney. So he had a different perspective concerning the accident. He said, okay, from his understanding or his belief that, you know, Rodney Hinton was, you know, a little intoxicated. He was intoxicated. The car spun out of control, and, you know, he didn't think he had any malicious intent, just like Zack said too. He said he didn't think it was premeditated. He was just, you know, going through some things at the time. Nevertheless, the situation happened, and here we are now. But he also mentioned how, you know, there's some animosity towards the Black community of Cincinnati and the police, you know, and I've seen and heard several accounts of that during my time. So, you know, these I just wanted to gauge the citizens, you know, the everyday lay citizens' opinion of the issue. Now, the next interview was with Miss Aziza, who is the founder and editor or the owner of Cincy Black. Now, this is more of a formal interview. You're going to hear her point of view on, you know, her experiences in Cincinnati with the leadership, with police, and with this particular situation. I am here with Aziza, the publisher of Cincy Black magazine, and we're here at an event concerning the police violence. And of course, everybody knows about the case of Ryan Hinton. What do you think, or what are you hearing from the community about, you know, this situation? What does the community feel happened or their perspective on what is going on with this?
The community is hurt. The community is upset because one, we had to bury another youth again, and I think the community is angry as well because we feel like our leaders who run the city, the police officers, they just lie to us and tell us anything. I sat there and watched that first press conference, and they couldn't even let the whole body cam footage show. But steadily telling us that, Ryan pointed the gun, and that's why he was shot. But clearly, when the video was released, y'all just shot him. He was running away. And so the community is outraged. We need answers, and we just demand justice, because why are we continuing to have to go through the same thing that our ancestors have gone through for years and years and years, and it's supposed to be a new age, new time, but we're still dealing with the same issues that our ancestors have always dealt with. So the community's not happy at all.
So Cincinnati, is this a constant issue in the city? Has this been an ongoing thing for as long as you can remember?
Well, I don't know to say if it's ongoing, but this is something that our city is familiar with. We had riots in the early 2000s because we were fed up with, police brutality, police just killing our black men, black women, and not being held responsible or accountable and being justified as they felt that their life was in danger. But you can see the same crimes happening to white people, and they're pulling out tasers. They're just diffusing the situation. Why is it when it comes to us, you want to kill us? And that just, that's a human rights issue. Like, how are you really looking at us? And so I would say it's a cycle. Like, we have years when it's fine, and then something happens and it takes us back down. So I think it's familiar.
Okay. So on the flip side, the other issue is what Rodney Hinton Jr. was alleged to have done. A lot of people have came to his defense with some sort of understanding if he was to do that. What is the city's, perception of that, or your own opinion of, that alleged act that, happened as a response to his son's death?
You talk about his father, correct?
Yeah.
I feel that, and I think it's so crazy how I hate how one side of the community looks at him as he's just this awful man. But you got to understand where this man's head was at. He had just seen the video footage of his son being murdered. Mm-hmm. And from there, the incident happened. So I've heard several stories. I've heard some stories where he wasn't the one behind it.
Okay.
It was someone else.
That's what I was going to ask.
He was unconscious. And so I don't know what's true or what's not, but I'm like, at some point, when are we going to have some compassion? And like, I understand the law, but it's like, when does that compassion and that, if anybody else's child was murdered and they saw it, you would feel the same way or want to kill anybody that had anything to do with it. And although the sheriff had nothing to do with it, it was the Cincinnati police that shot him, not the sheriff. I can understand just that lapse in his mind, if he allegedly did do it, where that came from.
So which one is most prevalent, the death of Ryan or the case of Rodney right now in the minds of, the people or the news? What do you think is getting the most attention?
Definitely Rodney. Ryan, I think, has been swept under the rug, and I'm so upset about that because that's the reason why all this happened.
Exactly.
Like, you guys are just acting like this man just killed the police for no reason, but it was a cause and effect situation. So you can't talk about one without talking about the other. And so I'm just really ashamed at the local media and our local leaders who are vocal about this matter and don't even want to address Ryan, because he's the reason why all this stuff started in the first place.
Now, when you say leaders, are you talking about the black leaders or the white leaders? Like, how is the black quote-unquote leaders being in this situation? How effective do you think they have been in your city in regards to both of these situations?
Well, that's different. We have different tiers of leadership in Cincinnati. We have, the officials that lead, and they have to work on both sides. The police, they work for them, right?
Yes.
And they gotta also keep the community calm because they don't want to riot on their hands. So we have that group of leadership, and then we have people like myself and other grassroots who are here every day talking to the people in the street, so we know how they're feeling. I would say, you know, I would say our group, we have just been watching and seeing how things unfold and just planning on how to recuperate from that. And then I feel like I don't think the Black leadership has been enough in the city, because there's nobody boycotting the courthouse every day. They did that for one day. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen nothing on the news. I don't see what's on social media, but what I post on Cincy Black Travel, make sure y'all download the app.
Okay.
But I don't see where our voices or our leadership is really shown. Like, where's the NAACP? Like, where are you guys at?
Now, are you familiar with the NAACP in this area? And because I have that problem in my hometown, like they kind of have their meetings, they have their functions, but when it's really time to get down and fight, they're there. So, of course, I'm not from here, I'm from North Carolina, so I was surprised to not see, more of a presence even at this event. So, do you think people are just fatigued as far as like, okay, well, nothing's gonna happen, ain't no use to crying, ain't no use to marching, ain't no use to talking about it and going up there? Do you think that's part of the issue? Where
I think our people have got complacent and comfortable. Okay. Because for the whole DEI and them shutting down a lot of the fucking money and everybody's running scared, I'm like, what happened to the people that started the civil rights movements? That is, even though I don't agree with marching happened.
Me neither.
But it's like, where were those people that challenged the establishment when we were done wrong? Like, everybody now wants to, conform and get complacent. And then we have also been deprogrammed to not know our history, to not be connected to it, to feel ashamed about it. So those stories of the Black Panthers and Fred Hampton or Malcolm X, we shy away from that because we're afraid. So I don't even think it's people are tired or they're lazy. They're just complacent. If it's not affecting my home right now, I don't care. But it's going to eventually touch your home if you don't care. If you, don't choose to care.
Okay. Well, I certainly thank you, Aziza, from Cincy Black.
Cincy Black Travel. I'm the creator of the app. It's
Cincy Black
magazine.
And what was that app again?
Cincy Black Travel app.
Okay. Well, we certainly thank you for your input, your intuition. We thank you so much. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.
All right. So you heard the sister Aziza from Cincy Black Travel. Make sure you download the app. Very beautiful, very intelligent sister who brought out so many points about this situation. Of course, the video she mentioned, as I've mentioned, they kept telling us what we saw, but they didn't show us the whole video. But when we can clearly see that he was running away. So, that narrative, everybody sees through that narrative. And, as on the other side of the spectrum, once again, she heard similar stories that I brought out, that Rodney Hinton was not the driver in some cases, and he was unconscious. So there's a lot of things that are yet to be proven, have yet to be seen. But she did mention the fact, okay, he had just saw footage of his son. So if he did do that, there is some level of understanding that, people have. And, of course, she talked about the leadership in the city, or the lack thereof. People, being reactive for one day and then not, continuing to fight. And so, she brought out just so many points, and you can, once again, you can go and watch it. But, I really appreciate, all of the perspectives from, the different people in the Cincinnati, but also, all of you who chimed in on these videos and brought out very varying and very introspective viewpoints on this whole case. And once again, this case is still ongoing for Rodney Hinton Jr. Of course, about a week or two ago, they released and said, okay, well, the officer is not liable for our brother Ryan Hinton's death, and they have yet to release that officer's name as well. So there's still some level of fighting on the family's behalf. I know they're not giving up. Once again, shout out to Torian and, the mother of Ryan Hinton, and, his uncles and aunts and, his siblings, all of the lovely family, his cousins, everybody involved in that situation. my heart goes out to them, and also Rodney Hinton Jr, who is still, in a fight for his life, so to speak, literally, in a fight for his life in the court system. So, of course, once again, shout out to all the people of Cincinnati who showed us love. Shout out to Building Bridges, and all the organizations, Louisiana Storm, People's Political Party, New Black Panther Party, UP Newton Gun Club, NFAC, all of the people who accompanied us there, and just, continue to fight for justice for these particular situations. But we're going to keep an eye on this. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. As always, my number is 919-587-7782. Thank y'all for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting on this channel. And as always, peace and blessings.
And as the scripture says, all things that are hidden shall be revealed, and those things done in secret shall be exposed on the mountaintop.
Let's go, Rich. Let's go. We watching Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. The propaganda grammar, don't believe none of it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing.
Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long.